Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into Morning Footy, presented by Zillow. Sunday starts today. I'm your host, Hannah Cash, alongside Tom Bogut, Tony Miola and Nico Cantor. Boys, the World Cup's over, and we thought maybe this couple of weeks would kind of calm down, you know, building up to the season. But we've had some huge news, haven't we, the last 24 hours involving FIFA and everything going on there. I'm not going to banter with you this morning. I think we just get straight into it, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infantino's very smart, waiting for everybody to be on vacation.
Yeah.
The week after the World Cup to drop the biggest scandal of the World Cup cycle.
There we go. OK, so let's go around the grounds, everybody. We've got so much to talk about in today's show. Starting off, some news in Tottenham. Matisse Tell scored in their pre-season friendly versus Sydney FC, with that game being won for Spurs on penalties. After this World Cup, Neymar, he's announced his retirement from the Brazilian national team. And in some more international news, there are reports that Mauricio Pochettino is nearing his return as US men's national team head coach. And then everyone, the biggest news coming out of the football world, the president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, has announced plans to sell a stake in the World Cup. So why don't we walk you through this proposal kind of step by step. So it would involve creating a new entity called FIFA Forward Enterprises, otherwise known as FFE. So FFE will run all commercial and event operations, so including broadcast and sponsorship rights, ticketing, licensing and merchandise. The plans would be to sell up to 21% of that FFE to private investors, and the intention of bringing in 4.2 billion in revenue. Now, that 4.2 billion in revenue will be released to member associations, so the countries that are a part of FIFA, through a thing called FFFP, which is FIFA Fast Forward Programme. Now, they are all waiting for approval of the majority of the 211 countries that are a part of FIFA, and also a 37-member FIFA Council. So in a sense, a separate entity that deals with commercial and event operations that will be run by private investors, and then that money will go to the 211 countries that are involved in FIFA. So everybody, to talk a bit more about this, to break it all down, because it is quite confusing, we are going to be going to a reporter at The Athletic, a senior news reporter, Matt Slater, to discuss all of this. Matt, it's very confusing. So could you kind of break it all down to us in layman's terms, please?
I will try. I mean, you did very well there with all the acronyms, all the Fs.
Yes.
Good work.
Thank you.
So look, I think the easiest way to describe this is what FIFA wants to do, what Gianni Infantino wants to do, because this is very much his brainchild. He has been driving this for a few months now. He hasn't told many people about it, but anyway, this is what he's been up to, is to basically put all the money-making bits of FIFA into a new company. And that's basically running the World Cup, which is the biggest thing FIFA does. It drives nearly all their budgets. The Club World Cup, which we've had one example of, Women's World Cup, Women's Club World Cup, and whatever else, right? So all the money-making bits into this new company. And then he is, as you've outlined, proposing, and this is the controversial bit, to sell 21% of this to private investors. And he's valuing the whole company, that FFE bit, at around 20 billion. How's he got there? Well, he's been talking to JP Morgan about it. They've been advising him. Not been talking to anybody in the actual game. He's been talking to bankers and financial consultants. But anyway, 20 billion for this new entity, of which he's going to sell 20%. So there's your 4 billion. Now, I think he's going to do this. He's going to do that bit anyway, because he's got the votes and he wants to do it anyway. He's saying it's just tidying up. We have subsidiaries. We're just going to put all our subsidiaries into this new kind of commercial entity, and that is going to do the job of growing revenues better. Okay, you know, I can kind of buy that. It's the 20% bit where we get into all kinds of questions, all manner of questions. And he's saying to the governing bodies, look, his 211 members all have one vote, all the way up from the USA and Germany and Brazil, all the way down to Aruba and the Solomon Islands, one vote, and they all get the same share of development money, which is about, let's call it a couple of million, 8 million over a sort of 4-year cycle, which is going up anyway because the World Cup has got bigger, the Club World Cup has got bigger, so FIFA's revenues have got bigger. It's going up anyway. Everyone's going to get more money. He's saying, I'm going to give you 2.5 times more money now if you back me, and it'll be 3 times more money in about a decade or so on growth projections. So a huge increase for your Arubas and your Solomon Islands and your Bangladeshis and everybody else, right? He's saying to them, back me on this plan, including the private equity bit, and I will release $40 million each for you. You're getting 10. At the moment, you're getting 10. So I'm going to give you 40 million over the next 4 years. $30 million difference, and bear in mind, about 100 of FIFA's member associations, 75% of their money comes from FIFA. This is like life-changing if you're running choose your own small member association. So this is what he's saying to them. He's saying, oh, by the way, you've got about 50 days to decide, because I want to do this. I want to get this wrapped up by September 19th, and I want it up and running by January the 1st. So those I think the sort of key bits. I'm sure there's going to be some more questions, and I will probably try and deal with it in bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, Matt, it's I think complicated for the average fan to understand the nuance in all of this, especially this sort of pressure that you mentioned of these 53 days that member associations are given to either be on board or not, to receive federation-changing money for the foreseeable future, or stay true to football values, if you will, and back away. You're saying January is the first date in place for Infantino to start seeing this out properly. The official Congress, the FIFA Congress, is in March of that year. So what does this timeline look like?
Okay, it sounds like you've made your mind up, Nico. But anyway, so this is his timeline. And I think we're going to get more public detail very, very soon. I have seen the letter that he sent to the presidents of member associations last night, because they were rushed into this. This was leaking. The Times, the FT, the Financial Times, the Times in London, Bloomberg were getting details of this, and FIFA were forced to sort of rush out their plan. And there's an awful lot of questions, because I think you can tell it was rushed. But to go on your timeline, which a lot of this is coming more from his letter that went out last night to member associations. So he's saying to them, look, I'm effectively going to do this, the first bit, FFE. But what we want is we want a majority of you, so 106 votes will do, to say, yes, please, to the private equity bit. And yes, please, to that 20 million bung. Sorry, I didn't say bung. 20 million sweetener, which they are calling the new Fast Forward programme. So they have this thing called the Forward programme, which is very much Gianni's baby. It's what he brought in. It's their development. It's their main development funding stream that's been running since 2016, which is when he took over from Blatter. So this is called Fast Forward. Fast Forward. It's quite cute. And if you have, let's say, a big infrastructure project that FIFA will properly audit, so maybe a national training centre, you know, a pitch building project, a massive coaching, you know, expansion program. Here's your money. Here's your money. Okay. We want you to tell us by September 19th. Okay. If he gets a majority that say yes to the money and de facto yes to how you're going to give us this money, which is selling the 4 billion's worth, the 20% to private equity and sovereign wealth funds, we go ahead. They actually have, you're right to point out that the next schedule, well, the next regular Congress is March in Morocco, in Rabat, where Gianni Infantino is almost certainly, well, was almost certainly going to be unopposed to get a 4th term that would take him all the way up to 2031. I wonder if someone will come out of the woodwork now. But anyway, let's just park that for a bit. They actually have an extraordinary Congress kind of penciled in for November, which is when they were going to deal with the allocation of the next Women's World Cup, which they should have done already. I know I'm going off on tangents here, but this is football politics for you. It's never simple. So there is an opportunity to rubber stamp this publicly. But my interpretation of the letter is we are dealing with you one-on-one, FIFA's member associations. We're going to count the votes up. I think the fact that they've even got this far suggests to me that he thinks he's got the votes. And then it will really be about the size of the minority and, crucially for football politics, what the minority does about it.
Slater, so in again, layman's terms, FIFA is a nonprofit. I understand that you create another entity that you sell to, so technically FIFA is, right, for the average person, they look at this as FIFA is selling 20% to private equity. How do they retain their nonprofit status with all of this?
I mean, this is a really good question. And I think, will be the topic of much debate in the coming days. So at the moment, you're right, they're a non-profit, they're based in Switzerland, they have tax-free status. And that's basically the deal that they take around the world whenever they go to a host and they say, hello, America, hello, Canada, hello, Morocco, whatever it is. We want you to create us a tax bubble for the Club World Cup, Women's World Cup, whatever it is, right? We're a non-profit. And our whole raison d'etre is to raise as much money as we can that we then dish out to around the world to develop the game. All right, the same as, I don't know, the governing body of track and field, cycling, swimming, whatever. It's a well-established deal. This, though, I do think poses some questions, right? So, what is this, a subsidiary? Is it a FIFA subsidiary? Well, it is, I guess. It's an 80-20 deal, even if they do this 20% sell-off. FIFA's going to retain control of things like disciplinary, the calendar. They're going to carry on being a governing body. And FIFA will have, the deciding vote on anything this company does, FFE does. Is that okay? Is that? I mean, they're clearly confident. They clearly have done the groundwork on this, and I don't think they would do this if they thought it would jeopardise, frankly, their tax-free status in Switzerland. Where I think things will be interesting is, what does the European Commission think about this? For example, they're already taking a look at FIFA. The leagues and previously the players' unions, although they actually did a peace deal. I know I'm getting more and more complicated here. The leagues and the players have been upset with FIFA for a long time around just Gianni doing whatever the hell he wants and not consulting people. So the big leagues, Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, MLS, etc., all have been moaning at him, saying, well, you've expanded the Club World Cup, you've expanded the World Cup, you never ask us about it. You put Winter World Cups in the schedule, you never run it past us. So those things are already happening. Now we have this, which I think practically guarantees, because you're really putting the profit motive right at the heart of this. If you bring in private equity in, I think you're practically guaranteeing bigger World Cups, bigger and possibly more regular Club World Cups, massive issues for that conflict of interest between FIFA, the governing body, that controls the calendar, and FIFA, the main shareholder of this company. I mean, there are obvious conflicts there, and I do think that would bring into question its status as a old-fashioned governing body, non-profit, back off, we don't pay taxes, we do nothing but good here.
Matt, how big a role does UEFA play in this right now? Because obviously there's been a rift between UEFA, Johnny Seferin, and for a long time. And then eventually, if this gets voted yay or nay, is it the 37-member council that has the vote? Is it the confederations that have the vote? Almost like voting for the president. Like, how does this happen or not happen? Or are we at a point where Johnny says, what is it, September 19th? This is it. This is the drop dead date where you have to say yes or no, and I'm either going to stroke you a check for X or 25% of X.
All good questions, right? So, where does UEFA sit here? Well, the UEFA-FIFA relationship is one of the great forever wars. Sometimes it's as simple as if FIFA's doing this, UEFA's going to do that. It could be anything from VAR to, I don't know, appointing a referee. This, though, is pretty fundamental. And this goes back to things like the expansion of the Club World Cup, the potential creation of a global nations league, the first time Gianni tried to push through a 64-team World Cup. UEFA, if you look at their public statements, are saying no, right? They've been increasingly annoyed with Gianni. But UEFA is 55 members. It's 55 members out of 211. And we already know that is it a 55-member bloc that's solid? I've just seen Sky News have just run an interview with the new president of the Czech Republic's FA saying, do you know what? This sounds quite good to me. So, you know, I've seen statements from the English, the French, the Germans, the bigger ones saying, look, we're really annoyed. We read about this in the papers. That's not how this should be done. Upset, if you like, with the governance, upset with the process. They haven't even got to whether they think it's a good idea or not. So you can already start to see that even within Europe, this might not be a block. But let's just pretend it is. Let's just pretend it is. But we've also seen statements saying we don't like the process from Concacaf. That's significant for me. That's probably the most significant I've read. That the place that has just hosted the most lucrative World Cup of all time, and where, let's be honest, most of this money for this company is going to come from, and where I think they would like to stage more World Cups and Club World Cups, they're saying we don't like the process. So I think that's quite interesting. The Asians have said something similar. We haven't heard from Africa and South America. So what might happen next? Well, Europe is having a meeting tomorrow, and they're going to go, what on earth do we do here? I think you, in your setup, you were like, the guy just never stops. It's flooding the zone, isn't it? It's just relentless. We were only dealing with the Balogun incident the other day, and then he's firing off a kind of Instagram post, being angry with everybody, calling us all haters. Then it's a sort of 60-14 World Cup. Oh, no, sorry, hold on, it's this? They can't keep up. So I think all your questions are good questions. It really will depend, I think, on the resolve of the English FA, the Scandinavians, the Germans, the French, to get together with UEFA, UEFA's leadership, with maybe the Commission, with the players, with the big leagues, and say, hold on, look, we might not have the votes, but we've got the world champion, we've got 6 of the 8 quarter-finalists, most World Cups now. Our clubs make your Club World Cup. Where are these players developed? Even, you know, developing nations like Morocco. We're talking about European trained players here. It's going to take that, and particularly if they've upset the Americans and the Canadians. I'm talking about the federations here. If they've upset them, that's where I would question Gianni's legitimacy. I would question his ability to get this done. He might be able to do it, if you know what I mean, but can he make it work?
Well, Matt, thank you very much. It's quite complicated, and you've been able to explain it very, very well, so we appreciate that. Thank you for joining us. We'll hope to speak to you soon.
You're welcome.
OK, then, everybody, it's time to take a quick break. We are going to be continuing the conversation here on Morning Footy on all this proposal and the news coming out of FIFA, so do stay tuned after this quick break, everyone.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation is hunting you down. The grand prize, $1 billion. Win this game. Change your family's life forever. Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everybody. So we're going to be continuing our conversation in this whole, all this FIFA drama happening in the last 24 hours. So FIFA have announced their plans to sell a stake in the World Cup. So it would involve creating a new entity called FIFA Forward Enterprises, known as FFE. And FFE will run all commercial and event operations. So that includes the broadcast and sponsorship rights, ticketing, licensing and merchandise. So their plan is to sell up to 21% of that company, FFE, to private investors, and the intention of bringing in 4.2 billion in revenue in at the beginning. Now that revenue, that money will be released to member associations, and those are the countries that are a part of FIFA, through a thing called FFFP, which is FIFA Fast Forward Programme. So they're waiting for approval of the majority of the 211 countries that are a part of FIFA and a 37-member FIFA Council. So everyone, a lot of people aren't very happy, including many footballing governing bodies around the world. This was a statement released by AFC, so they'll be representing Asia, saying the AFC was not consulted on the proposal and is disappointed that a matter of such significance entered the public domain before the AFC family had been afforded the opportunity to examine and discuss it through the appropriate and established governance channels. While the AFC recognises the importance of exploring innovative approaches that can strengthen the future of global football, initiatives of this scale and consequence must be founded upon the principles of good governance, transparency and meaningful consultation. Decisions that may reshape the commercial and financial future of the game require comprehensive prior engagement with confederations, member associations and other relevant stakeholders before any proposal is made to the appropriate decision-making bodies. Now, this is the next statement released by Concacaf, so representing North and Central America and Caribbean. Concacaf was only made aware of this matter through media reports and subsequently via a media release. We are deeply concerned by the lack of due process. We share the disappointment of many within our region. Now, this is the next statement released by UEFA. They released one yesterday, but this morning they brought out a new one. So further UEFA's statement on FIFA plans. Today we have learned of FIFA's deadlines to associations to support their proposals or have the one-off payout offer withdrawn. This is everything you need to know about this plan, but having held discussions with many stakeholders across the game, UEFA knows there is significant and growing opposition to FIFA's scheme. FIFA cannot continue to use our sport to enrich themselves and their friends. We can grow the game correctly. It's time to prioritise associations, clubs, leagues, players and fans. So boys, we've heard everything from Matt in the previous segment. We've also heard from all the confederations. I want to hear from you three now. When you heard about the news yesterday and overnight you've read more about it, what were your initial reactions, Nico?
This feels slimy. Selling off the World Cup, right? Because I feel like the layman, the average football fan doesn't understand the complexity of all of this, a separate entity to then sell the World Cup marketing rights. Like you said, Tom, from the outset, this looks like Infantino selling the World Cup for the highest bidder to private equity. When, in theory, FIFA is an NGO, right? They're supposed to roll out football. They're supposed to host football. They're the organization that allows the World Cup to happen, and it's because it's an NGO, in theory, it's supposed to be rolled out with transparency, with credibility. Credibility for FIFA at this point, even before all of this, was at an all-time low. So it feels gross that off of the back of their most profitable World Cup ever, they say, you know what, we're going to even bring more money in. And a lot of that seemingly, reportedly, is for themselves and for money that's not in-house.
A few things for me. One, you're right, the nonprofit, I think, is at the central point of this, and that can't be lost. When is there ever enough money? Is there ever a point?
No.
And I feel like this is...
For FIFA?
Yeah, this is something that can be repeated across several domains in the world, but particularly in sport, particularly something that is a nonprofit. Second, when has private equity improved a sporting event for anything other than the bottom line for the shareholders? Because that is what private equity does. That is their main goal. They are at least very transparent about that. But when has that ever been better for the fans, better for the game, better for the growth of the game? All of that said, Nico, the way you started this was all of these terms, they're arcane, they're jargon. It's purposeful. It's so the average person gets overloaded with terms that are confusing on purpose and you never say in a normal conversation. So the idea or the hope is that you get fatigued and tap out because what does this even mean? Do I need a lawyer to try to talk about this?
But I think you can explain it very simply
to
the average fan, and I think at the end of the day, even that's our role here.
Yes.
FIFA is selling the World Cup to private equity, and private equity can bring in a lot of money. A lot of these member associations are going to have life-changing money for the foreseeable future. But there's something that private equity, when their main concern is the bottom line, is that the soul of your product dies. And football is football because of the soul. And if you kill that off, or if you suppress that for money, because once you have private equity in there, there are many more interests involved that are beyond football, right? Football has to be the most important thing. But now if you bring in advisors from JP Morgan, if you bring in people close to the Trump administration, because clearly per reports, this has been touted very closely to Josh Kushner, who's Jared Kushner's brother, who's the son-in-law of Donald Trump. I can only imagine like the talking in Infantino's ear during the World Cup at the suites. To a certain degree, football just becomes the vehicle to make more money for these people. These people that didn't know what football was 5 years ago.
Exactly. Sorry, Tone, but between all of this, it's just for money. And you said that it becomes a lot of external factors. No. It becomes one. It becomes monetary. And that's not what we want. This game makes enough money. It's already difficult for families, even in the United States, to go to these games. Yes, the United States is the world's ATM for soccer. Every single entity is trying to grab more and more money. And more of the share of hearts, minds, wallets of the American public. That's why so many events want to be here. That's why the Copa America, nothing has been decided or confirmed. It's probably going to be here again because it goes down to the bottom line. Another thing that I'm very annoyed at is UEFA is the only, of all the statements that Hannah read, UEFA is the only one who said anything extremely negative about the contents of the plan. Everything else from Concacaf, from AFC was, why did we find out about this in the media? Or AFC, I believe the line was, we're all for, trying to figure out new ways to expand the game. No, all these people are mad that they weren't part of the plan and they weren't part of getting the money or having a larger say the money. I'm just so disappointed that the governing bodies are letting down fans. It seems like at every single turn.
You know, you guys know me. I try not to be knee-jerk reaction with anything. Not games, not results, not things that happen. And I had a knee-jerk reaction yesterday. The minute I saw private equity, only because, and by the way, I've tried all night. I've got notes after notes after notes, and I've been copying and pasting things and trying to figure out like who benefits in this. And then Matt came on, and one of the things he said in there, around 75% of these this is life-changing for them, right?
40, just to put into context, 40 million, which is in theory what a lot of these member association gets. That's more than what the runner-up at the FIFA World Cup, the men's FIFA World Cup gets. Just a little bit under what the champion gets.
Right, so I feel that great. So I feel like 75% will eventually say yes to this or have said yes already. We've heard from the Czech Republic's new president, right, that he's probably in favor of this. And in the end, when I hear private equity, there's an ROI that they want all the time.
100%.
Because these are really shrewd people. When you talk to JP Morgan, right, these are shrewd people. And whoever's involved in that understands, I give money to make money, right? And at this point, we're at selling off of television rights, sponsorship, ticketing, hospitality at 21%. But then where does it end, right? Because now when people see an ROI and they say, I'm making enough, I put $1 million in, I got $2 million back. They're like, well, if I put another $1 million in, maybe I'm going to get $3 million back, right? And then it never ends. And then in the end, what ends up happening is, as Tom just mentioned, as Nico mentioned, it's the fans at the end that pay for this, because they would have gone and sold. I can't imagine that over the 4-year cycle with this, I want to get the acronym right, the FFE, that first one, right, that they couldn't raise the $20 billion that they need between World Cup, Club World Cup, Women's World Cup, sponsorship, television, everything that they're doing, that they needed to go to private equity. This is something bigger. And the way this was rolled out leads me to believe that this has been going on for months and months. And they didn't have this discussion.
Why do you think Infantino was so close to Trump for all of these years? And the first name out there to bring in the money is someone close to the administration.
And whether it's Trump or JP Morgan, whoever it is, he was going to do this with somebody. I'm amazed that no federations, no members were involved in this, and I think that's why it hurts right now, because it's where does it go from here? If we can do this, what's the next thing we can do? Because what have we been conditioned as footballing fans to say? They come out with a new idea, we scream and yell, and then they do the new idea anyway. The only thing that's been debunked has been the Super League, right? That was the only thing that's come out in my lifetime in this game that they said, we're doing this, and all of a sudden it didn't happen. This, to me, sounds like it's going to happen, and no one's going to have a say.
How ironic is it that the FBI led the FIFA gate that brought down Blatter, and now we have something even more perverse backed through American investment, right? Americans, we brought down the original bad guy that we thought was, the most corrupt thing in the world, destroying football, to just create a bigger monster, essentially. There is a bigger power play here, desperate to happen, because if not, this is all going to go in Infantino's favor, and he's going to build the private equity VC football that he wants to build.
Does any of these federations, do they have a backbone? That's what we're going to see, particularly the biggest ones.
Yeah, well, we see. I just want to make it clear to everybody: the nations that are in FIFA have been asked, if you approve this plan by September 19th, you'll be given, in a sense, 40 million over the space of this next World Cup cycle. That's where that 40 million is all coming from. But like we saw, the UEFA statement is probably the strongest one that's been put out there, and there are reports, and Matt did say there's going to be a meeting tomorrow for UEFA to kind of discuss what the plan is moving forward. And there has been talks of boycotting potential FIFA tournaments in the future, and that could only mean as well the Women's World Cup next year. That's the closest one that we could see potentially boycotted. There's so much to talk about, and we're going to have to go to a break, but I think we are going to be continuing the conversation on that boycott. We are going to be continuing the conversation on that. We are live on YouTube today as well, everybody, so we will be getting to a lot of your comments in today's show as much as we can. But we do have to go to a quick break, but do stay tuned. We will be continuing this conversation after this quick message.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down. The grand prize, $1 billion! Win this game. Change your family's life forever. Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here. Now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everybody. So getting you caught up to speed with the FIFA's proposal of this new entity called FIFA Forward Enterprise. So it would involve creating this new entity called FFE. And FFE will run all commercial and event operations. So, for example, the broadcast and sponsorship rights, ticketing, licensing and merchandise. And the plans are to sell up to 21% of that company, FFE, to private investors. And they'll intend on bringing in $4.2 billion in revenue. And then that revenue and money will be released to member associations, so the countries that are a part of FIFA, through a thing called FFFP, FIFA Fast Forward Programming. Currently they're waiting for approval of the majority of the 211 countries that are a part of FIFA and a 37-member FIFA Council. So in a sense, a separate entity that's dealing with commercial and event operations. That entity will be run by private investors, and the money made from that entity will go to all the 211 countries in FIFA, in a sense. We are live on YouTube today. We are going to be breaking it down for a lot of the show because it can be quite complicated, but we have got some comments that you guys have written in, so we're going to be getting to them. Is there a chance UEFA actually boycotts this? I can't see it. Money talk. So UEFA have called this crisis meeting that's taking place tomorrow to talk about it. And do you see a world where UEFA begin to boycott FIFA tournaments, and the next one would be the Women's World Cup next year?
I think this all goes back to the UEFA versus FIFA war that's going on, Ceferin versus Infantino, which has really been at the center of the football world. The power play. Why does Infantino have a Club World Cup? Because he wants something to rival the Champions League. Why does he want to expand the World Cup? To make it even more attractive, more money, to drown out all of UEFA's multiple competitions. It's just like more. Who can flex harder? But Infantino has crossed the line with the spirit of football here. I'm not saying UEFA is perfect, but UEFA has the opportunity right now to do something seismic in the world of football. Boycotting the World Cup, it isn't that simple. Walking away, seceding from FIFA and saying, we're on our own, because it's not going to be uniform. We saw it already. If already there's a crack in that movement, which is the Czechia
immediately
FA,
with no
right?
pressure.
Like, I'm thinking, I'm going to throw out names here. Nobody take it personal, but the Moldova FA, the Greek FA, you know?
Who would just want the money?
Yeah, because $40 million changes everything, right? It's bribery in its nastiest sense. But if they really want to topple this man, if Ceferin wants to make the power move, it has to be now. I mean, I think he could have made power moves after the World Cup because everything that we saw, the water breaks, the interpretations of the laws of the game however they want, the extended halftime at a World Cup, the ads sold during the water breaks, all of these things that are just seemingly brought in, the transparency is muddled. It felt like the right time to make that power move. Now more than ever, do they have a spine? No. Do they have the audacity to do it? Because it would change the complexion of the football world as we know it. But it needs to happen now.
Well, they've got the meeting tomorrow, so something could come out of
and
that.
Infantino put the deadline right here on all these member associations. From here to the next 53 days, someone needs to insert themselves in this power play in this entire football world to redirect the ship. Who's going to stand in front of the Titanic going straight to the iceberg and say, I'm going to stop this with my one hand?
Yeah. I don't have the answer.
It's a good question here.
Next comment here. Can we think of any pros of the World Cup privatisation, Tony?
Well, there's a financial pro. I don't think the financial part of it is the issue. Like if you said you came out of the World Cup and you thought you were going to make 11 billion, but we made 15 billion. I'm going to take the extra money and I'm going to go give 20 million to all the confederations, right? That's a different conversation, right? You're still getting the same money, 20 up to 40 million, right, in this. But I think the axe to grind for everybody is the private part, because when you talk about ROI and with these guys, they're so shrewd, Hannah.
Can someone explain what ROI is?
The return on investment.
I hate that this is what comes up from the World Cup because of the like it.
Okay.
Right. But this is where we're at right now, right?
Exactly.
Right. So when you think about these guys, that's all they think about. Is money.
All they didn't care for football.
There's guys. That's what I was going to. There's guys in here that 6 weeks ago had no idea if a soccer ball was blown up or stuffed. They had no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
I guarantee. If you asked them what an offside is, they couldn't explain it to you.
And it's beautiful that they grasped onto the game. And I wish this private money would go to, in our case, MLS teams. Creating, we talk about pay for play, creating some way that's philanthropic, that kids wouldn't pay to play. But that's not happening. That's not what they do, right? All they look at is the bottom line. And my fear is that we've gotten to such a point. I've been programmed now, and I don't know about you guys, but like I said before the last break, I've been programmed to know that they come up with a new idea, we bitch and moan about it, and then I see the idea happen anyway. Just like I didn't initially like, we're going to go to 64 teams at the World Cup. I've kind of conceded already that I'm going to see a 64-team World Cup, and I'm going to stop arguing about it because they said it's going to happen. That's where we're at. And the problem is, Nico, and it's what we talk about all the time, is where does it end? Right?
No, it doesn't end. I think all of these guys
it gets worse.
Were in these suites at the World Cup. They saw the incredible display of passion, of commitment.
And why am I'm not involved in this? That's what they said.
And they said,
right?
I want a piece of this pie. And I can only imagine all of these suits and ties that have endless pockets of money whispering in Infantino's ear. How much did you make of this? Give me a slice of the pie and I can make you 10 times what you're making now in your most lucrative World Cup in history. And that's the problem. They're profiting off of our passion, our game, our people that bust their ass Monday to Friday, working class jobs to be able to afford a ticket to go watch their team that their father, their grandfather, their great grandfather supported. This is a thing of blood. It's a thing of heritage. You inherit being a football fan for generations. And that's why this passion exists. And they said, we're going to profit off of that. And once the money becomes the main driving force, you lose that. We're going to start pricing out these fans that make football fun. We're going to start killing the purpose of football, and that's the most worrying part out of all of this. Yes, the money's going to help a lot of these federations, but in turn for what? Okay, the Antigua and Barbuda Federation is going to get $40 million, but to what end? just it's really frustrating because it feels like Infantino can just supersede everyone, right? He doesn't need to consult the member associations. He knows that he's got their votes, he's got their confidence, because of course $40 million. And who knows how that $40 million is going to be funneled within a federation. I don't know anything about the Malawi Federation, with all due respect to the Malawi Federation, but if I'm president of a federation from a country that doesn't have a lot of football history, $40 million, okay, let me allocate a little here, a little there, and a little right here. So it's a lot of money for these guys.
No doubt.
It's too much money.
I think it's scandalous that a simple majority vote can push this through. Why is such a consequential and irreversible decision able to be determined by a simple majority in which the nations that have never qualified for a World Cup, and Germany, Spain, Brazil, Argentina, Japan, all these have the same exact say? And it's not that the smaller nations shouldn't have a say, but we're talking about the World Cup. Laos isn't making a World Cup. Why do they have the same vote as Spain?
We should have like an electoral system, is what you're saying.
Or it shouldn't be a simple majority. It should be a super majority. It should be 75, 80%. Something like this cannot happen with 51%, whereas 51% is, what did you guys say, 105? That's not even... that could be 105 nations that aren't sniffing the World Cup, even at 64 teams. Yeah. That's 105 nations that don't make the World Cup, and not even the first 45 out.
Yeah, but that's not going to change right at this point. Infantino's the president of the federation.
No, I understand, but like, it is scandalous that we got here and that we don't, checks and balances, man. It's just another thing that can be taken out and going across a lot of different domains. If the checks and balances are such that basically one person can do this without consulting anybody but bankers and maybe a handful of people, then you don't have checks and balances.
Has there ever been checks and balances in FIFA? Really?
You're right.
They've governed everything. And then what's to say down the road here, if I'm Spain or Germany, or I'm like, okay, why am I getting, now you start the argument, why am I getting the same as the other guy? Like some other team that hasn't ever qualified for a World Cup. Like I'm more important, right? I say that in air quotes, more important than the other guy. Well, you're only giving me 40 million and they're getting 40 million. No, I want 60 million. Yeah. Like then there's like a you know what contest in the end.
Tony, you said that has there ever been checks and balances at FIFA ever? And I would argue that there probably hasn't been, but it just feels like now football isn't the priority anymore.
No.
This is not the people's game anymore. No, when you grew up in a household where your dad, he was calling the people's game for the people. That's what they wanted to hear. He's not doing that anymore. We're not watching the people's game anymore. We love it because we love the game. Yeah. But this isn't about us anymore.
Tony's played at World Cups. Like, this should be more about people like him.
Right.
Than bankers.
I mean, look at certain clubs, right, that we criticize because a lot of this, like, private money has come into these clubs. And a lot of these suits and ties live in another country. They're not involved with the club. And they kind of have it as a depreciating asset off to the side, but it doesn't affect their bottom line. Like, and how angry those fans are towards those owners that don't invest properly, don't care, but as long as they're making money at the end of it in their grand cash cow, they're going to be happy. That's one club. Pick a name, whichever name you want. And imagine that being FIFA, the most important sporting spectacle. I would say the most important social spectacle in the history of mankind, selling it off to people who only care about making money off of it and not the spectacle itself. Inherently, there is something wrong with that. It's at odds.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make it clear, there's 211 countries in FIFA. They have till September 19th to make this decision and put their vote in if they want this FFE to go forward. If they get the majority vote, which would be 106 countries, wouldn't it? Because there's 211. So if 106 countries say, yeah, we're doing it, that will go then to March, when the 37-member council will kind of vote. Potentially, it could be November, excuse me. So if they got that vote by September 19th, that they wanted it to go ahead, do you think there's a chance they could say no when it comes to the council voting for it?
I think there's a lot of talk about this council in the background. Why would the FIFA council go against Infantino's plan? It wouldn't make sense. Something greater needs to happen here for this not to go Infantino's way.
Yeah. Okay, then, everybody, it's time for a quick break here on Morning Footy. We've got much more coming up on the other side of this break.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everybody. So, Paramount Plus is your new English language home for the Concacaf Champions Cup, with CBS Sports and Concacaf announcing a new multi-year media rights deal that will run through the 2030 season. So, Paramount Plus will stream every match of the Concacaf Champions Cup, Central American Cup and Caribbean Cup, and competitions that also serve as qualifiers for the FIFA Club World Cup and FIFA's Intercontinental Cup. So you'll be able to watch Concacaf Champions Cup matches across the CBS Sports family of network, including some matches right here on the Golazo network. Taking a look now at some recent champions of the Concacaf Champions Cup, an MLS team has won it 3 times, most recently 2022, which was Seattle, and then the rest of the winners have all come from Liga MX. Tom, you seem very excited for this one.
Oh, let's go. There is a badge of honor among North American soccer fans that we call Concacaf sickos. And the people who will stay up for a weather-delayed 11:30 kickoff between Tigres and Orlando in February, or getting your hopes up that an MLS team is going to challenge Toluca, only for Toluca to win by 17 goals or whatever it ends up being. The refereeing, the lore of Austin FC played a Haitian team in the Dominican Republic in which the side of the field had the biggest tree I think I've ever seen in my life. There's ambulances in the corners of all these grounds. It is just such incredible football lore. And I am so pleased that it is on our network. It is good for the fans, good for the game.
You know what I like? I feel like at this World Cup, we understood that the world isn't Euro-focused. And we tend to do a lot of Euro-focusing in the world, naturally, because they have the best leagues, the best infrastructure, and stuff like that. Every so often, it's great to look on this side of the pond to see how football is played. It might not be the prettiest, it might not be the most attractive, but it really is proper football, and it does have this aura about it.
Tone, did you play in this competition?
Yeah, years ago. Yeah.
What was your most this is so hashtag Concacaf memory of that tournament?
Yeah, everything about it, all the things you talked about, refereeing. I mean, you knew when you play away, I was going to face a penalty kick no matter what. Like I was already, But I love it. I love this, Hannah. I was so excited when this was announced yesterday because we do it right here. Right? Like the way we cover things, just think of Champions League, NWSL, US Open Cup, everything that we do, Europa League, like everything, the programming around everything, the way we cover games. This tournament for the next 4 years is gonna get a real treat with the way that we bring it into people's homes, man. I love this competition.
When Tony's calling Motagua against Tauro FC at 11:30 p.m.
I've done it.
He's ready.
Nico, get ready to learn Concacaf Champions Cup Golazo show, buddy.
This tournament's from February to May, and we're going to see the MLS calendar change, aren't we? How do you think that's going to affect it?
It's going to be very helpful because I believe this year the Vancouver Whitecaps, their first game in this tournament was like February 5th. That was like 3 weeks before the first MLS game. And MLS teams going to play Mexican teams who are in the middle of their season, it's always been a crutch. It's always been difficult. It's difficult no matter what. The biggest Liga MX teams are better than the best MLS teams at this stage. It is inarguable because of the results in this tournament. MLS teams are going to be on a more similar footing just by the calendar, and hopefully soon roster rule changes will make them much more competitive in this tournament consistently.
Okay, then everyone, CONCACAF Champions Cup here on Paramount Plus. Exciting times. Woo! Yeah!
Vamos.
Vamos! Okay, then everybody, time for a quick break here on Morning Footy. We've got much more on the other side of this break.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, with the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here. Now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everyone. Time to get you caught up to your latest headlines. We're going to be starting off with some transfer news. And Sebastian Berhalter's long-rumoured move to Middlesbrough is now official, with the US men's national team midfielder joining the league championship side in a reported $2 million transfer from the Vancouver Whitecaps. Now, Berhalter's contract with Vancouver was set to expire this winter, which led the Whitecaps to agree to a deal that reportedly included a 10% sell-on clause. Now, Berhalter joins fellow American Aidan Morris on a Borough squad that is also reportedly considering a deal for US men's national team fullback Max Alfston as well. We're going to go from some US men's national team players on the move to the US men's national team head coach and his future in the role. So according to multiple reports, everyone, including our own Tom Boga and one from Nico's dad, Andres Cantor, Mauricio Pochettino is closing in on signing a new deal to stay on as US head coach for the next World Cup cycle. So Tom, what can you tell us about this and where things stand now with Poch?
Where things stand now is he's very close to sorting out a return to be the U.S. national team head coach, continue on. The deal is not done, the deal is not papered, but barring some unforeseen circumstance or some hurdle that I don't see coming, he's going to remain as the United States national team head coach on a deal through the 2030 World Cup. Now, it is fair to speculate, will he be here in 2030? We don't know, because there's always going to be interest from big clubs within Europe for him. When he took this job, all the way up until the World Cup, a lot of the people I talked to would be shocked if he's here in 2030 because of his interest to return to club soccer. Maybe the World Cup convinced him that this is a very good job and something that he wants to do. Sources at US Soccer tell me that this is a long-term commitment, but you never know what's going to happen in the world of soccer. And the hope and the idea and the aim is that he's here through 2030, but you never know what happens along the way. So nothing is done yet, but things are trending towards Mauricio Pochettino remaining as U.S. men's national team head coach.
Mm-hmm. Tony, this deal is worth $24 million. Over the next 4 years, do you see him being worth that?
Worth it if he stays and if he gets the team to the next level, right? Then But what Tom said is my fear, is that we start this cycle and we don't finish the cycle. And it's not going to be because of results, right? Oftentimes in the middle of a cycle, you get fired because of results. It's not going to be because of that. They'll go through qualifying. They'll be okay in qualifying. It's just the constant. Manchester United opened up. Is that job available? Newcastle opened up. Is Mauricio Pochettino the guy? Like, that's that constant ringer of where do we go with Mauricio Pochettino? If he's here for 4 years, I think it'd be a good thing. If he's not, then the deal for me is not worth it. I imagine the most important clause in this contract is the buyout clause.
But that's what you gotta take on if you want to hire a manager the likes of Mauricio Pochettino, of that ilk. Mancini won a Euro, and within months he was gone to Saudi Arabia. Like, that's what happens when you want to play with the big boys.
But he completed his job. He won the Euros, and then he was out.
Okay,
right? Well,
sure.
Of course, they failed right against
He stayed
North
a little
Macedonia,
bit, and then he was out. But
he completed that point of the job. Like here, it's like the completing the job for me here is being the manager in 2030.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure. That's a long time from now.
Yeah, right? But at least what this tells me is that he's willing to build off of potential that he saw. Because honestly, if he thought this was a lost cause, especially given the result that knocked us out of the World Cup, he could say, you know what, this isn't for me. The federation is too complex. The systems at play don't allow me to fulfill the potential of this group. I'm out. But he's clearly not saying that. He wants another go. He wants to keep on building the culture in the way that he believes is going to get the U.S. better results. At the end of the day, we're going to judge him off of World Cup 2026, which was already a complete underperformance. I would say, like, pass, fail, right? There's a Copa America coming up. There's a World Cup coming up. There's a couple Gold Cups coming up. But Gold Cup's almost like, it's you or Mexico at this point. It's always been kind of like that. And if you're in, like, minimum not in the final, then it's a failure. So I don't think that moves the needle so much. I think we're at the point where we want to get past a certain benchmark that we struggle to get past. And now it's almost like back to the drawing board. What is Pochettino going to do from his position to have these like sweeping changes in American soccer that we've been asking for decades at this point?
I hope the motivation, Hannah, is, man, we missed an opportunity against Belgium. Like, I want it one more time.
Right.
Like, I want to be there one more time, and I want to be the guy to take us to the next step. If that's the case, then I think we will be in good shape.
Yeah. With everything going on with FIFA, Tom, and the potential, addition of a $20 million fee that we may see coming in the future, do you think that added any appeal to the job, or will add any appeal to the job?
No, because money isn't an issue at this moment with the Federation, and particularly with the billionaire private donors that U.S. Soccer helped to fund getting Pochettino in the first go. And I'm assuming pretty strongly that they have to be involved now for him to return, because the salary from Berhalter to Pochettino tripled. And that's the only way you get Pochettino, because he's in a different stratosphere in terms of his resume, pedigree, and talent. But it was funded by private equity, or the billionaires, the donors, rather than, say, U.S. Soccer itself. So I think that the latest news from FIFA is immaterial to this situation.
Yeah. Do you remember during the end of the season when all those managerial jobs came available in Europe and Pochettino was linked to so many of them? Do you think there'll be an element of frustration that he's going back to the US, returning as a head coach for the US team? Because if from fans, because if head coaches' jobs in Europe come available, Poch might be linked to them again.
I think Tony said this perfectly. This is, I think, can be very, very good if you know he's going to be here for 4 years. And Nico, to your point, you never really know in football, but particularly with Pochettino, because we know what he's done his whole career, and what we thought is what he wanted to return to. And in this, the most cynical view of this would be, okay, I'm going to keep, this is a good job, I like it, and I'm going to get some really good money along the way. And then in November, if Newcastle comes open, then maybe I jump. And if you're Pochettino, I totally get it.
That's the risk that you're willing to take as a federation of you who want to hire Pochettino. The news is right now, per what you guys are reporting, is that Pochettino wants to be back with the U.S. men's national team. That is extraordinary. If Real Madrid comes calling in 3 years, well, it's Real Madrid. How can you say no to Real Madrid? That train might come once if you're lucky in your lifetime. It's what it is.
Sure, but the counter would be, don't commit to something that you're already looking.
Football.
I understand, but I think fans would be fair to have that feeling of frustration.
Fans at this point, I have to be happy that we got him back, because after the Belgium match, I think that looked bleak at one point.
I'm just happy that we have a direction. If he's the guy, then we have a direction, right? Because that's the hardest thing to. That's what we missed for a whole year, right? In the whole saga with, Berhalter not being there and Dave Sarachan being in, who actually did a good job of bringing some of these young guys in. But I just like that if Mauricio Pochettino is our direction, you guys know me, right? I'm like, let's get on the train and let's roll with it, right? That's where we're headed right now.
September, October friendlies condensed into one window. They're Poch's he's working on it right now. He signs his deal whenever he signs it. He's probably already thinking about what to do. That's a good thing. We're not losing time. We're not taking missteps in certain directions.
Yeah. Well, there is a comment here on YouTube. I think, Tony, for you. If Poch leaves, we buy out Inzaghi from Al Hilal for 26 million euros, $29.9 million per season, Tony.
No.
But if we accept Infantino's deal, we have $10 million to spend.
Yeah, I guess we break even at this point if we take the deal, and we're going to break even on this.
Yeah.
We buy him out for $26 million before we pay him.
Yeah.
No,
thank you.
I'm all right.
All right, then. Lovely stuff, Tom. OK, then, everybody. Time for a quick break here on Morning Footy. We've got much more coming up on the other side, so do stay tuned, everyone.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down.
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here. Now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everybody. Happy Wednesday, which means, everyone, it's Whiteboard Wednesday. So I'm going to give a question to the boys. They've all got their whiteboards and pens ready at the desk, and they're going to draw or write down their answer. So the first one is draw...
Cheating.
Pardon?
I'm cheating already on my emoji. I was trying to find one. I didn't have enough time.
What a great start.
I was wondering if he was going to his phone.
Okay, Nico's making noise with his pens here. First one, draw an emoji that represents the state of Italian football. So a bit of backstory. Pep Guardiola didn't want to join. The Federation blocked the appointment of Andrea Pirlo. Maldini and Leonardo stepped down, and now Mancini was hired for a second stint. A lot of going on there. Tom, do you want to get us started? What emoji was that?
Supposed to be death. Things are not good right now. Think that they're in the grave for a little bit.
That's a good one.
Nice. My crying emoji right now.
This segment always makes me want to play Pictionary with everybody.
I bet you'd crush it at some of these family night games.
Oh, yeah. I would love to have Tone on my team. Pictionary.
I think that just for all things across life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the two good emojis. Back.
Yeah, the back emoji.
Yeah.
It feels like everything in Italian football,
It's going backwards.
I just feel like Italy in general, the infrastructure's in place.
Rewinded 20 years. Is that what that is? Yeah.
Don't you feel like, for good and for bad, it's awesome. That's
for good.
Yeah, I think culturally, I think it's awesome that a lot of parts of Italian culture are kind of like stuck in the 90s. I think it's cool, but when it comes to like infrastructure, football, politics, it feels like they haven't modernized. They haven't kept up, and to a certain degree, society is not advancing with modernity.
So they keep going back, right? Because it's like the recycling league of managers. Like the new ideas don't really infiltrate Italian football that much.
Yeah. Now they've got Mancini. Okay, on to our next one then, boys. Mo Salah's next club will be. He's been linked for a long time with Saudi Arabia and MLS. A lot of club names have been flying around there. Where do you think Mo Salah will end up next season? Nico's drawing something. You could write it, or you could draw the emoji.
Trying to press harder on this one because you couldn't see the
Let's go, Tom.
I don't think.
Al Hilal.
Yeah. Without Hilal. Is that Besiktas?
Hey!
Roma return. Okay, who wants to go first? Nico, you go first. You drew.
I drew the eagle. Besiktas, known as the Eagles. And
Okay, what sound does an eagle make? was much better than I thought.
Well done.
Have you not seen that kid on Instagram that does the bird calls? Oh wow!
No.
Look at
Yes, yes.
He's unbelievable. And then I drew the Islamic star and moon to represent Turkey. I feel like Beşiktaş is actually going for it, despite how much of a mess they've been over the last couple of years. They've been the little brother in Turkey. Fenerbahçe has been the little brother. Galatasaray has been the big boss over the last decade or so. So Beşiktaş is, I think if they get Salah, they really go for it.
Okay then. Tony, Roma return.
Yeah, look, he was at Roma once, right? They're trying to do something special at the club, Champions League, all of that stuff. He returns there after being there 1 year, 1 season, and does something special there.
Yeah, from what sources told me, that the belief is that Mo Salah wants to stay at a European club, but particularly on a multi-year offer. And Roma would make a lot of sense, but the last time I checked a few weeks ago, there wasn't that offer. I think it's more likely Saudi over MLS, as much as I would love it to be MLS. Sources told me that Sporting Kansas City is a team that has had preliminary talks with Mo Salah, so hopefully something develops there, but I think it's more likely to end in Saudi.
Okay, Al. All right, our last one then, boys, before we go to a break. Give me one word that describes the whole FIFA proposal at the moment.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Bribazo, is that a real word?
We're at the Golazo now. Not just a bribe, it's a bribazo.
Okay.
Imagine all of these federations that say, 40 million, 40 million. You know what we could do with $40 million?
No bueno.
No bueno. All one word.
Hashtag
No bueno.
No bueno.
Yep.
And what have we got over there?
Just defeating. It's just demoralizing. Anything that takes the wind out of your sails, and just why do we have to fight this? And we're going to have to fight this, and we would be the governing bodies. Hopefully they do, but maybe they won't. Just defeating.
Yeah. Care to explain no bueno?
All one
Can you
word.
translate that for me?
Yeah. I've been using that
Spanish
for years.
classes?
Yeah.
Not good.
Muy bueno.
Oh, you actually wanted me to explain no bueno?
I know what it means. Okay,
Say it
then.
in Spanish, do it. Send us the break in Spanish.
No, Nico. No, I do it another day. Time for a quick break here on Morning Footy. Yeah, we'll see you after this quick break. You threw me off, Nico.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. They're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You need lots of different qualities, lots of different characteristics, resilience, intensity, organisation, deal with the pressure.
That is a brilliant sliding challenge, and look, he's enjoying himself now in Capier.
Piero Hincapié, who's in on goal here, and Hincapié scores! His first Premier League goal. Piero Hincapié has created daylight. Question, can they get over the line? Well, they've done it with a steeliness, a defensive structure, no lack of quality.
So everybody, here is Pierre Hincapié's career resume. 230 career club appearances across Ecuador, Argentina, Germany and England. He was part of the history-making Bayer Leverkusen side that went unbeaten and won the domestic treble. He then helped Arsenal win the Premier League last season after joining the Gunners on loan, and the Ecuadorian defender also represented his country at this summer's World Cup. And now, after a successful loan spell, Hincapié has made his move to Arsenal permanent. Yesterday, Nico sat down with the Gunners defender to discuss his journey. Take a listen.
And on that note, we're going to bring in Piero Hincapié of the Ecuador national team and Arsenal. Piero, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo te va?
Muy bien, gracias a Dios aquí en la pretemporada, pasándola súper bien y la verdad, y entrenando fuerte.
Qué bien, ¿cómo te trata Girona?
Bien, la verdad. Un poquito de calor, pero bueno, está bien para los jugadores sudamericanos y algunos españoles, está muy bien.
Qué bien, ¿cómo nos tiene Arteta? ¿Doble turno o qué onda? ¿O suavecito para comenzar?
No, la verdad que pues hoy día nos toca doble turno, pero hay días que tenemos solo una jornada y está muy bien, la verdad. En la mañana hace mucho calor, pero bueno, hay que entrenar bajo todas las circunstancias, ¿no?
Ya vi, se te levantó la ceja cuando te pregunté el doble turno, ya esa ceja levantada más o menos me dio una indicación de cuánto te gusta. Escuchá, Piero, esta charla creo que es para educar a la gente un poquito más, para conocerte a vos. No sé cuánta gente realmente sepa de Esmeraldas, de la ciudad de donde venís vos. Describímela, porfa.
Pues es una tierra muy pequeña, la verdad, es una ciudad muy pequeña, donde hay gente que trabaja pues mucho, la verdad, con un sueldo mínimo, que se levanta desde temprano, como los veía mi papá desde pequeño, se levantaban a las 6 de la mañana, llegaban 6 de la tarde y mucha gente tiene sus niños, enseñarles la educación y todo. La verdad que es una ciudad trabajadora y que lucha mucho el día a día y que lo vive así el día a día, y yo creo que también con las playas que tiene y toda la gente que es muy carismática, la verdad que es muy bonito.
¿Cómo son las playas en Esmeralda?
Son bonitas, la verdad. Obviamente en otras ciudades también son diferentes. Creo que otro color del agua, pero en Esmeraldas está muy bien, la verdad. Mucha gente va para allá y disfruta mucho de las playas.
¿Y ahí empezaron a jugar un poquito de fútbol?
Sí, ahí fueron mis comienzos más que todo, porque mi hermano entrenaba ahí cuando él estaba más pequeño y yo era todavía un chico, tenía 5 años y mi papá lo llevaba a él a entrenar y desde ahí me fue gustando, porque en Esmeralda hacen los campeonatos de los playeros, que nosotros le decimos allá. Entonces desde ahí me fue gustando y le dije a mi papá, yo quiero ser como mi hermano, quiero jugar ahí, y poco a poco me fue incluyendo y terminé ahí jugando campeonatos, ganando copas y todo. La verdad que fue muy lindo ahí todo.
Espera, antes de las Libertadores Sub-20, antes de una Bundesliga invencible, antes de la Premier League, los campeonatos de playa eran los más importantes, ¿no?
Sí, eso era lo más lindo, la verdad. Yo disfrutaba mucho cuando era pequeño porque jugábamos ahí sin zapatos, solo era con media o sin media y la pelota quemaba. picaba mucho, pero ahí me divertía. La
Pero
verdad
¿cómo
que-
eran? Explícamelo, ¿era 5 contra 5, 7 contra 7, había arquero, no había arquero?
Sí, era 7 contra 7, a veces 8, dependiendo de los jugadores que estaban habilitados en ese momento, pero te divertías mucho. Pero obviamente los partidos se daban muy temprano, 8 de la mañana, 8:30, porque era ahí donde el agua estaba muy baja, entonces había mucho margen para jugar, mucha playa, entonces ahí se armaban los campeonatos, pero era muy temprano.
Buenísimo, ¿y de qué jugabas? ¿De central en ese entonces atrás jugabas?
No, ahí no marcaba mucho, ahí era jugar de 10, de delantero, hacía un montón de goles, la verdad que el viento ayudaba mucho, porque en la playa hay mucho viento y ayudaba mucho, pero bueno, hacía muchos goles, la verdad.
Mirá, Piero Hincapié, antes del central campeón, era 10 en la playa, que nadie se olvide, ¿no?
Sí.
Tremendo, o sea, esa versatilidad, me imagino que a Xabi Alonso le encantaba, le debe encantar a Mikel Arteta, ¿no? Tu nuevo técnico en el Arsenal. ¿Cómo es Mikel puertas adentro? Contame.
Es una buena persona, la verdad, siempre está al tanto de nosotros, de cómo estamos, cómo está la familia, más allá del entrenador que sabemos que es uno de los más grandes que hay ahora mismo en el mundo, pero obviamente de la parte humana que él tiene, la verdad que llega mucho al jugador y eso es lo que a veces necesita un jugador, no más solo en lo futbolístico, sino en lo personal, que se incluye mucho él y te ayuda bastante, la verdad.
Debe ser exigente como ninguno, ¿no?
Sí, obviamente la exigencia siempre va a haber en el campo y fuera del campo, obviamente es exigente, pero eso es lo que demanda estar a un alto nivel.
Además, yo los veía cuando jugaban, terminaba un partido donde habían entregado todo. ¿Cómo fue el momento que salieron campeones? Que, viste, es dar 100%, llegar a la meta final y decir, somos campeones de Inglaterra.
Sí, la verdad, ese momento fue fantástico, la verdad, porque durante todo el año estábamos primero y obviamente hubo momentos muy difíciles, muy duros, pero creo que el equipo estuvo ahí para dar la cara y siempre salir hacia adelante dependiendo de las adversidades que toque, ¿no? Y yo creo que eso fue lo que nos fortaleció, lo que nos dio las indicaciones del míster, que sigamos luchando, que estamos muy cerca del objetivo y creo que pudimos conseguirlo, gracias a Dios.
Tremendo. ¿Y ahora qué pensás que se necesita para hacer el back-to-back?
No, obviamente trabajar más que el año pasado, obviamente tenemos jugadores con mucha más experiencia, yo también agarré mucha experiencia en mi primer año en Premier, algunos también que tuvieron su primer año, yo creo que esa experiencia y trabajando más, porque siempre es un equipo grande, cuando tengo un equipo grande siempre queremos todos, entonces vamos a luchar por todo, estamos trabajando para eso y Dios mediante espero se pueda cumplir todo eso.
Che, el que pasó por atrás no está en la pretemporada, ¿no?
No, ese está de vacaciones todavía.
Se nota que está disfrutando. Escucha, ¿cómo estuvo el desfile en Londres? Eso seguro fue una locura.
Locura de gente, la verdad que yo me impresioné. Cuando lo hicimos con Leverkusen no había tanta gente, había gente, pero no tanta así como la multitud de gente que había. Fue una locura, la verdad, lo disfruté mucho. Venía muy cansado de la final, pero lo disfruté al máximo, la verdad que ahí en ese momento se me pasó el cansancio y todo y disfruté mucho, viendo toda la gente alegre, la verdad. Y eso es lo que queremos, este año, que toda la gente esté feliz y poder conseguir lo más títulos posible y que esté la gente feliz, obviamente.
Che, ¿te diste cuenta en ese momento lo del movimiento de Arsenal, lo grande que es más allá de Londres, Nueva York, África, por todas partes del mundo la gente lo festejaba?
Sí, la verdad que fue una locura también. Ahora último que fue al Mundial, había mucha gente del Arsenal esperando una foto afuera o firmar una camisa. La verdad que es una locura la multitud de gente que lleva esta institución, la verdad, y muchos fans por todas partes. Es una locura, la verdad.
Qué bien, fantástico. La verdad se lo merecen todos ustedes y que siga lo mejor para este año. Pero vamos a jugar un jueguito antes que te vayas. Me cuenta que sos reggaetonero, ¿no?
Me gusta mucho el reggaetón, la verdad.
Bien,
Me gusta
fantástico.
mucho el reggaetón, salsita también me gusta.
Bien, bueno, buenísimo. Entonces, mira, yo te voy a nombrar un artista, pues, más allá del reggaetón, un artista cualquiera, y vos me vas a decir qué compañero del equipo tuyo es más probable que esté escuchando este artista. ¿Te parece? Vamos, primero, Shakira.
Shakira. Yo pondría a Merino, puede ser.
A Miguel Merino, campeón del mundo escuchando Shakira. Me parece bien. Ok, Drake.
Uf, ese es difícil, ¿eh? Pero...
Declan Rice. Muy bien.
Ya.
Taylor Swift.
Uf. Ben White, I think.
Taylor Swift y Ben White. Muy bien. Burna Boy.
Burna Boy. Oh. Al fin, creo que puede ser Noni.
Madueque. Justin
Madueque.
Bieber.
Uf. Esa es muy difícil. Oh. Martin Odegaard puede ser.
Odegaard, ok. Central C.
Uf. ¿Quién pondría? Pondría a Miles. O a Noni escucha esa música.
Muy bien. Bad Bunny.
Un compañero, seguro los españoles. Pondría a Mosquera.
Mosquera, muy bien. Y la última, Fade.
Lo pondría a Subimendi.
Repetime.
A Subimendi.
A Subimendi. Che, los tenés bastante reggaetoneros a los chicos de Arsenal.
No, ellos escuchan mucho reggaetón, la verdad.
Muy bien.
Escuchan más de inglés, obviamente, pero les gusta más el reggaetón.
¿Y
Más que todo a los...
Arteta qué escucha?
Arteta, no sé, la verdad, Mikel, ¿qué escuchará? Yo creo que un poco de cumbia, ¿no?
Un poquito de cumbia para meterle onda, ¿no?
Un poquito de cumbia y todo, sí.
Bueno, Piero, escuchá, te deseo lo mejor con la selección, con Arsenal, para todo lo que se viene ahora en el futuro. Gracias por tu tiempo y descansa un poquito, te lo mereces. Ya sé que te están matando la pretemporada, pero descansa un poco.
Hay que seguir metiendo, hay que ganar muchas más cosas. Eso no se puede. Ya, se para cuando ya toque el día de partir, pero hasta ahora hay que trabajar, ¿no?
Perfecto, me encanta esa mentalidad. Piero Hincapié, ladies and gentlemen, from the Ecuador national team and from Arsenal. What a lovely conversation. Next up, more Morning Footy. Don't go anywhere.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me. Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events. It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Fisher. Very similar play, and this one winds up in the back of the net. Lardner.
Lacasse. These have been lethal for Utah. Tanaka again! How about that? The Royals!
The bell offering. Here's Davidson who got there. The ball knocked in! Sam Kerr!
Sophia Cantore collects. Cantore shot! Wow! That'll light up the night!
So everybody, 3 NWSL matches are coming your way today. First up, Kansas City, current side that is looking to get back to winning ways. They're going to be taking on Racing Louisville at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CBS Sports Network. Then an hour later, it's third place Utah Royals versus first place Washington Spirit. And to close out the night at 10 p.m. Eastern on the CBS Sports Network, you can catch Bay FC taking on Gotham FC, a side currently sitting second in the table with plenty happening around the club right now. So to break all of these fixtures down, we're going to be welcoming CBS Sports women's soccer reporter Sandra Herrera. Sandra, so lovely to see you. Let's get right into the football then, why don't we? Because I mentioned there Gotham. There's so many things happening around the club at the moment, isn't there? So to kind of break it all down to you and get you caught up with everything happening, let's take a look at all the recent news around the club. So on June 29th, Sam Kerr returns to the club on a 4-year deal. On July 18th, Juan Carlos Amoros goes on a 5-week parental leave. July 24th, Emily Sonnet was stretchered off with a knee injury versus Portland. And on July 27th, just 2 days ago now, Esther Gonzalez parted ways with the club after 4 seasons. So she stepped away from soccer temporarily to attend to a personal matter in Spain. And it's been a mutually terminated contract there at Gotham, hasn't it, Sandra? What kind of impact will that have on the club, losing Esther Gonzalez?
Yeah, it's been a wild month for sure, but I think, and as far as this most recent piece with losing Esther Gonzalez, it'll be huge. It'll be massive. I'm sure there will be some folks who might say that the arrival of Sam Kerr might soften some of that blow, but just kind of in a holistic sense, speaking in generalities, losing Esther Gonzalez for Gotham is massive. There's going to be a little bit of an adjustment in a hole there for a little while. This is a player who came over from Spain, wanted to challenge herself in a new league in NWSL ahead of Spain's remarkable 2023 World Cup run, and really kind of challenged and pushed herself here and is walking away with a ton of achievements. So this isn't just any old sort of player that kind of came and went. Even in this short window of time with Gotham, she's leaving a remarkable legacy behind. You're talking about someone since mid-2023 in her time was able to just sort of rack up all these goals, and now she's leading as the club's all-time leading goal scorer, 33 across all the competitions. She has a couple of best 11 appearances as well for this team in NWSL. She was a finalist for the MVP in 2025. And she's pretty much won everything that you could win with this club in her time here. So just a massive loss that'll be felt for a little bit by this club.
Yeah, well, the departure of Esther Gonzalez leads us to our Zillow expert guidance presented by Zillow. Sunday starts today. And Sandra, you mentioned Sam Kerr, and I was going to ask you, how do they replace Esther Gonzalez? Is Sam Kerr the one-for-one replacement Gotham need?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of maybe a blessing in disguise. From my understanding, conversations to get Kerr to number one, NWSL, number two, Gotham, were ongoing for quite some time. So while maybe these decisions for Esther Gonzalez and her family kind of came to fruition around this kind of summer point, Sam Kerr's arrival was kind of always in the making. So now that all of these things are kind of coming to fruition, decisions having been made, it just sort of feels like, okay, well, there's going to be a literal like-for-like swap here. There's going to be this experienced goal scorer for Gotham that they don't have to worry about kind of reintegrating. There might be that small adjustment period, but Sam Kerr is already showing that she's throwing that out the window. She's already scoring goals for this team, making an impact, and doing that against other top clubs in the league. She just scored a goal the other night in that 2-2 draw against Portland. So I don't think there's going to be too much of a hiccup as far as tactical things there that Gotham have to figure out with Esther Gonzalez kind of moving on and Sam Kerr coming in.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 2-2 draw against Portland. In that game, we did see Emily Sonnet stretch it off and reportedly knee injury. Have you got any updates on her? Will we be seeing her back on the pitch anytime soon?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a congested match week for this team. Quick turnaround for Gotham from that game against Portland where Sonnet exited. Now they have this midweek match tonight and then a look ahead for a Saturday match as well. All the acting head coach, Son Harris, said, who's taken over since Juan Carlos's paternity leave, he had some pre-match availability ahead of the midweek game, and he did confirm that Emily Sonnet did undergo a successful surgery. He didn't really allude to more details about what that surgery actually is. It is assumed that it was a knee injury that took place for Sonnet based on just what everybody saw on the cameras going on in that game. So with some of the congested matches this week, I have a feeling that there will be an update. Knowing our luck, after this segment, there might be an official one. But as of right now, it's just a successful surgery for now. No actual timeline for her return or what that specific surgery was.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see for that one. Another game we're seeing today is KC Current up against Racing Louisville. KC Current will be without Shawinga because she is at Women's AFCON currently. How are they going to replace her tonight? Because we speak about how important she is for this team, especially at the start of the season when we couldn't see her, and they didn't get off to the best of starts, did they? But ever since they've had her back, they've been able to put some results together.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important thing that you note there, Hannah, because this isn't really the same Current that we've seen who were so dominating in 2025. A huge part of that, of course, yes, was for Temwa Shawinga, but they started off this season with some struggles in the back line as well. Defensively, they were bleeding a lot of goals, and turns out when you have a two-time reigning MVP, two-time Golden Boot winner, she kind of helps absorb and absolve a lot of those problems. She's just as good on the defensive side of the ball as she is in scoring, and being without her for so long, maybe we saw some holes get exposed for Kansas City Current. So she's going to be another huge absence. And I think there is that concern because if they struggled a bit with such an extended absence for her at the beginning of this season, as she recovered from that hip injury that she sustained last year, how are they going to look while she's away on international duty? And there's also the question marks around Michelle Cooper as well, who there's not really a timetable for her just yet, though Chris Armas did mention in his availability that she's much closer. I think that they're all anticipating for her return. So that's not only Shawinga, but Michelle Cooper, who are two huge pieces of that really lethal attack for Kansas City Current that they're going to be without for maybe this August.
Yeah, and their head coach, Chris Armas, his tenure has been up and down, and there are some mixed opinions about him in the league. How would you grade how he's done with the Current so far?
I gotta say, maybe he's just right there in the middle, just an average grade. Maybe we're talking about a C plus. I think it's hard to forget that was a long time that Kansas City went on a bit of a winless streak there to start the season, and we didn't see a lot of adjustments be made. In fact, we kind of, like I said, saw some things exposed a little bit. We saw players kind of occupying the same spaces. Corey Bethune and Allie Sentner at the time when she was on the team just kind of couldn't meld together and were almost kind of getting in each other's way. Kansas City were part of the team that made a lot of movement in the break of the season, and now Ellie Senor is with Angel City. Debiñas on the men has made her return to a starting lineup. So how is she going to get kind of reacclimated with this team, and how are they going to get her going again? And those are questions that rely upon the staff to kind of figure those things out and help players kind of manage their way back to their return. So I think there's a little bit of a TBD, as now we're just a couple of weeks back into this from following the World Cup break for Kansas City. And so because of that, I think there's still some more that folks want to see from Chris Armas, and including myself. How are they going to look in this kind of third quarter of the season when they're facing some of those maybe similar challenges that they had in the beginning of the year?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you very much, Sandra. Lovely to see you, and also lovely to see the NWSL back in full swing.
Thanks, Hannah. Have a good one.
Okay, then, everybody. You can watch NWSL 2 of the games today on the CBS Sports Network. We are going to be taking a quick break here on Morning Footy. We've got much more coming up on the other side.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here. Now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy. Here are your latest headlines, and we're going to start with coaching news because Mauricio Pochettino is moving closer to signing a new 4-year deal to stay on as the U.S. men's national team head coach. The Argentine manager's contract expired at the end of the recent World Cup, and he had been linked to multiple club jobs in Europe, but he does appear ready to stay with USMNT through the next World Cup cycle.
Give your dad some credit.
Per various reports, first on it was Andrés Cantor. So let's move on to Brazil, and there is a new twist on a player punishment for dangerous play. A Brazilian sporting court has banned Inter from Porto Alegre defender Victor Gabriel for his leg-breaking challenge on Corinthians winger and former LA Galaxy star Gabriel Peck. It was nasty, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw it. That suspension is going to run until Peck returns from injury. The ban has an 180-day cap on it, though, but Gabriel could return to action if Peck does return earlier from the injury he suffered on July 22nd. So next up is transfer news, and Juve is set to turn to a familiar face to address their need as a striker. There he is, because according to multiple reports, the Bianconeri are finalizing, listen to this, a $55 million deal to buy French striker Randal Kolo Muani from PSG. Kolo Muani, he enjoyed a successful loan with Juve back in 2025, but he went to Spurs after Juve and PSG failed to reach an agreement on a transfer. So a year later, they are set to reach that deal. In other transfer news, Sebastian Berhalter completed his $2 million transfer to Middlesbrough. Chelsea is finalizing a deal to sign Danny Welbeck and Jordan Henderson, who is at Brentford. He's looking prime to a move to Chelsea that is reportedly in the works. Xabi Alonso's Chelsea project, it appears set to add the 35-year-old Welbeck, who scored a career-high 13 goals for Everton last season, while the 36-year-old Henderson is coming off of making 34 appearances for Brentford. Look at Chelsea. Those are your latest headlines. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everybody. Time for our Morning Footy trivia of the day. So the question is, Zinedine Zidane and Jurgen Klopp will try to be the next coaches to complete a Champions League World Cup double. Who was the first coach to do it?
Wow, stumped. Give me a second.
Tony, Tom, any idea?
Give us a second here, Hanny. You just asked this
Del Bosque.
Pardon?
Del Bosque. Vicente del Bosque. No?
Nope. Not the first.
Del Bosque didn't win. Oh, not the first. Ah. Okay. Lippi. Marcello Lippi.
Correct. With Juventus in 1996 and Italy in 2000.
I was trying to think who the Italy coach was in 06. I couldn't get anything.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Del Bosque was the second. I was working my way back.
Yeah. Good stuff, Nico. Okay, then, everybody, why don't we move on to On This Day? On this day in 2011, July 29th, Jurgen Klinsmann was named the head coach of the US men's national team. So he replaced Bob Bradley, who was fired after a 4-2 loss to Mexico in the 2011 Concacaf Gold Cup final. If we take a look at his tenure with the US men's national team, he had a 56% win percentage. He won the 2013 Gold Cup. He led the US men's national team to the first ever win over Mexico at the Estadio Azteca. He went on to lead the US to the round of 16 at the 2014 World Cup, but he was fired after losing first 2 qualifiers of the 2018 World Cup qualifying campaign. Let's talk about his legacy, because there is some differing opinion on Klinsmann during his time with the US men's national team. How would you rate his legacy, Tony?
I liked Jurgen Klinsmann. I like that he pushed the envelope all the time. I like that he wanted players to get better all the time. Talked about going to Europe. I know that rankled the feathers a little bit of some of the MLS folks, right? But he was the first one to openly come out and say that, right? It didn't end well for him during qualifying, but he had moments like you mentioned, the game in Azteca. I think they beat Germany, they beat Netherlands. Like there were landmarks along the way as his teams were going. They played really good football, I thought.
Yeah, I think the first cycle was very good. Has strands to like the Pochettino hire, because Jurgen Klinsmann, when he took over the United States, that was seen as a huge coup. Somebody with what he did as a player, his name, the resume, and the way he kind of could command a room with all of that behind him, that was a surprise. So that was a landmark in some ways. That first cycle was very good, solid. Second cycle, obviously didn't get off to a good start, and those were the first steps that ended with the team failing to qualify for the 2018 World Cup. That's not all on him, but that's kind of where it started. So if he ended after that 4-year cycle, we'd look back on him a whole lot differently than if not.
Nico? Any
Yeah,
thoughts on
he opened the doors to a different perspective.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about there, though.
Yeah, 15 years ago now, 2011. Everybody, time for a quick break here. We've got much more Golazo Network coming up on the other side.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors